After 5 years and 1,000 different amazing adventures in my Ram ProMaster van, it's finally time to give it up, to move on, and move up into the lap of hillbilly luxury. This is a 2020 Nash 26N travel trailer. My wife, Sarah, found it on Facebook for 25,000 bucks, probably about half of what the owner paid for it a few years ago. And this is our new home base at Everstoke. As you probably know by now, my buddy Aaron and I bought 91 acres of rugged off-grid land near Gray Eagle, California about 3 years ago to build mountain bike trails and amenities for you to come out and stay for a week and ride all the epic rides in the La Sierra. Head on over to everstoke.bike if you want the full rundown on how you can stay and play out here for a week. The fall right now is the best time to visit, especially once the rain starts. Hero dirt for days, the shuttles are still going. Come on out. Sarah works remotely, and it's the dream to be able to come up to Everstoke, work among the trees, finish out your day, and then go for a mountain bike ride. But the van, there's no privacy, there's no climate control, there's no toilets, there's no water, there's no nothing. If there's nobody here and the weather's perfect, it's great in the van, but that's not most days. But now with this mean machine, we've got a toilet, we've got a shower, we got a couple sinks, we got a cooktop, we've got hot water, we've got climate control, air conditioning and heating. We got indoor seating, we got outdoor seating. We really have it all. Oh yeah, and of course, power. You have to have real deal power if you're gonna power a real deal machine. And I've got the Bluetti AC500 under here, the proud sponsor of today's video. I'm gonna give you all the information about that a little bit later, but first we gotta do a little tour of the interior. All right, let's go in here and I'll show you all the goodness. So really, first and foremost, this was the whole reason we got this thing. So Sarah could work from home right here in comfort, have her command center, 2 monitors, her laptop, and be good to go. This love seat here looks nice enough, but it is hard on the rumpus. After sitting and watching TV for a while, I just want to tear this whole thing out and replace it with a nice love seat or maybe 2 recliners. One thing that is just so awesome is storage everywhere. This thing goes back about 6 feet. Storage here, storage there, storage everywhere compared to the van. We've got the big screen TV right here. I actually brought a TV from home and I think I might be able to mount it. It's on the endless list of to-dos, but so far we've been okay watching this little screen. Got the 3-burner propane stove. It's been fantastic to cook my eggs in the morning. We even have a little oven. I think Sarah's gonna make some brownies today or tomorrow. The microwave has been clutch. I've got so many little frozen foods that work. You just have to go about twice as long as a normal microwave. And Sarah even brought up her B-Team espresso machine. She actually has one that's much more fancy than this. So this was actually just sitting in the garage collecting dust. She was very stoked to break it out today and make her first cup of joe or cortado or latte. I don't know. She does something. She likes it. This is the air conditioner. You got various vents all throughout the cabin, and it's on a little thermostat over here, which works great. Same thermostat as the heater. Got heater vents in the floor, there, and right there. And I also think when I'm running that heater, it heats the underbelly, all the pipes and everything, keeps everything from freezing. Speaking of freezing, we got the freezer, we got the fridge. It's actually running on propane. A little bit of electricity, but not too much. The propane has been pretty dang good so far to heat the house and heat the hot water. If we were doing that on pure electricity, it would be a lot harder to make this work. So here's the bedroom, plenty of storage on each side. The bed has been really nice. We've got our various hooks everywhere to hang stuff up. This is our laundry basket. We've got laundromat right down the road, so it's easy. Got the full size kind of sort of shower in here. It has been doing great, except for the water pressure is really not that good, and I'd like to modify that eventually. It's on the to-do list. More storage, and maybe need a little double-sided tape for that. Got our sink, and then of course, The latrine in here, not too bad, its own room, and you got a fan in here and a window. You can clear it out real quick. Even more under bed storage. This is where the paper towels and the toilet paper go. I think that covers all the bases. Pretty simple, but really, really nice for our needs. Oh yeah, and this crappy couch becomes a crappy bed if you want it to be. This also folds down into a bed. All of these RVs are always about how many people you can cram inside. So power is absolutely the foundational piece of the puzzle to survive out here. It was the first thing I got set up and running with the Bluetti AC500 and 2 B300K batteries. Bluetti's the sponsor of this video. They've been a fine sponsor for a long time. We have had many, many Bluetti power stations out here at Everstoke, and we have run them hard in the hardest of circumstances, and every single one we have is still up and running. A Bluetti power station is so much cleaner, more quiet than a gas generator. I'm gonna use solar energy whenever possible to run this thing. I think in the deepest, darkest reaches of winter, I'll still need to use our gas generator, but just a little bit, just a little supplemental power until the sun comes out. So this power system is a big upgrade from my previous Bluetti in my van. I'm gonna have more than twice as much power. I'm gonna have more than 3 times as much energy. It is a fantastic setup for an off-grid RV trailer. And it's definitely something you should consider for a home backup system. We've all seen the natural disasters in the news, storms shutting off power for days, if not weeks at a time. If you have one of these systems and some solar panels, you can be very self-sufficient for a long time. I like to think of the AC500 as the engine in a race car. That's what determines how much power you have and how fast you're gonna get around the racetrack. And then the B300K batteries are like the fuel tank. They determine how many times that race car is gonna be able to go around the track before it needs to stop and refuel. And with this system, you can have up to 6 B300K batteries per AC500. You can have 2 AC500s with 6 batteries each and then just have a ton of power and energy. So let's go inside the belly of the beast, the AC500. In the temporary setup, I'm gonna bring this inside very soon. I gotta drill some holes, I gotta build some different stuff, but for right now, this is working really, really good. The AC500 has 16 different power outlets here. You've got the wireless charging at 15 watts, the 100-watt USB-C, which is absolutely fantastic for a laptop and anything else that uses a lot of power. Got 18-watt USB-A's, and then the normal 5-volt, 3-amp USB regular, and then 24-volt DC, 12-volt DC. This is what I used on my van quite a bit. Then you got 3 normal power outlets that are at 20 amps. You got the 30-amp. If you've ever worked on a construction site, you've probably seen this one. And then the big RV style 30-amp and the big, even bigger 50-amp outlet. So everything in the RV plugs into this 30-amp outlet, which means I can only get 3,600 watts, but I can also plug in a bunch of stuff out here and get that max 5,000 watts. So the AC500 is the powerhouse, but the real star of the show is the 2 B300K batteries I have actually keeping the power flowing. As someone who has quite a bit of experience building a massive solar array with a giant battery, the Bluetti system is so much easier. It is click, click, go, and you're up and running. Oh, it's so nice. This generation of battery is only 65 pounds when the previous 300 series batteries are around 80 pounds. They also have some really nice screw holes in the back if you want to mount this to a wall. And of course, all the latest and greatest Bluettis are always rocking the lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry, which is so much better. You can drain this battery all the way to 0, charge it all the way up to 100%. You can get 4,000 charge cycles out of this, pretty much a 10-year battery lifespan if you're charging it and discharging it every single day. So now it's time to do the real world power test. I'm looking at the Bluetti app right now, and we're at about 100-watt baseline with our laptops plugged in and charging and other various little electronics going. So let's start with the first simple test of a overhead light fixture. There's probably 7 or 8 of these in the van, and I'm very surprised that they do about 30 watts each. That's actually very inefficient for an LED system. It is pretty bright, but I think I could swap these out and maybe get a little bit better efficiency. So we're sitting around 130 watts now, and I just clicked on the thermostat for the air conditioning. Here we go. Okay, we're rocking and rolling with the air conditioning right around 1.4 kilowatts. When it first turned on, it had quite a surge of 4,000 watts, but everything was able to go through just fine. So if I start with 100% battery and run the AC, I could go for 4 hours full blast without needing any more input power. After 4 hours, I'd be at 0% and I'd need some solar power, I'd need some grid power to get the batteries back. And what's great with the solar power is the hottest times of the day are usually the sunniest. So if you get some solar panels out, we have 1.2 kilowatts of solar panels out here. If the sun is hitting, I'm almost perfectly offsetting the use of the air conditioning. So now we're gonna take the test up a notch, and we're gonna run the microwave as well as the air conditioning, which is always scary. We tried to do it before with the smaller Bluettis. We'd always blow them up. This has been working pretty good. We've already done this quite a bit, so I'm confident that I can run it and actually show you how much power is going out. We are rocking 2.9 kilowatts going out. Remember, 3600 is the max that I can actually run through the RV before one of the breakers will trip. So we're doing pretty dang good. This is real world, no problems. So I guess if you wanted to run the air conditioning and the microwave, you could do it for 2 hours, but you don't need to run the microwave that long. Oh yeah, it's hot. It's very interesting as I've gotten more and more into the power monitoring game, how almost all of these appliances that take a ton of power are only around 1200 watts, so 10 amps at 120 volts. The air conditioning, the microwave, the electric kettle, the espresso machine, they're all at that 1200 watt range. So if you've got a max of 3600 watts, you could probably run 3 of them at a time if you didn't have anything else going, but not for much of a long time. So like microwave, maybe a couple minutes before a breaker would pop. So like I mentioned before, the refrigerator runs off of propane and a little bit of electricity, pretty negligible. I can't even really tell how much it's using. But the heater runs on propane and it has about a 300 watt blower usage to actually move all that hot air out, which is great because if we had 100% of our batteries, we could run the heater for 18 hours. We would probably run out of propane before we ran out of electricity, but that's a really good real world use case as we get into winter. We're gonna try to stay out here until it gets totally snowed in and then go home. But we're gonna be out here in the cold weather, and so far we've had some lows down to 25 degrees Fahrenheit, and we have survived out here. It has stayed nice and warm thanks to the propane, thanks to the Bluetti. All right, remember I was complaining about the small TV. How about we set this bad boy up and actually see how much power it uses with the PlayStation 5? I'm really hoping I can use this existing mount, even though the new TV might be a little too heavy for this thing. Yes, 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 yes. There we go. Wow, it looks like it holds. And it's not like I'm gonna be going down the road with this thing. I am very happy I did this. We are good to go. Let's hook up the PlayStation. 0% packet loss, ping 27. We're running at 355 watts right now, about 250 watts over the baseline. Pretty good. Oh, are we in the storm? What's this purple haze, or is it just this TV has better HDR? Oh, I'm getting kills. I'm lighting up the leaderboard. How about that? A little gaming on the Starlink. The connection was not that bad. My ping was like 28. I didn't feel like I was held back at all. My skills held me back is mostly the thing. So the TV and the PlayStation 5 combined 250 watts, which means with all the battery power I have, you could play for 22 hours straight. That's a lot of gaming. So how about that for a real world test? If you're in an RV, you got a tiny house, you're building a cabin, those are all perfect scenarios for the AC500 and the two B300Ks. And then of course, you can always add on more and more batteries as you wish. This has been our real world scenario for the past 3 weeks. We've been in here every day, every night, charging the battery up, draining the battery down, and it has performed flawlessly. So happy to have Bluetti as a partner. Check the links in the description. Bluetti always has some really good sales. They always have new products coming out, and then they always do discounts on older products if you have your eye on something. So good. So I can already read your mind. You're saying, why buy a trailer that has like a limited lifespan that's only gonna last you 10 years, maybe, when you could have another tiny house or build a cabin out here? Well, I'll tell you, a tiny house is like 100 grand. It's not cheap. It takes a while to get in, to get parked. This thing, we found it on Facebook. The next week it was up here. And I really do wanna build a cabin or many out here, but it's gonna be big. It's gonna need permits. It's gonna need its own septic and well and more power. And it's just gonna be a whole nother massive expensive project. So I think if I've got this thing, at least I could get started on a project like that. And it's gonna take me 5-10 years to build it because I'm working on a set of bathrooms that's like 100 square feet. It's taken me a year to do 100 square feet. So if I wanted to do a 2,500 square foot, really nice vacation home, do the math. This thing was instant gratification. Instead of spending the rest of the year in the van, we could get this set up and still squeeze every single day of what's left of the year here before the big snow starts to fall. And in the past couple years, we haven't really had that first real deal snowfall until the very end of December. So I might have a couple more months out here working, getting things done. Oh yeah, let me tell you about working and getting things done on this thing. We've had the trailer up here for about 2 months now, and over those past days and weeks, we've been doing my favorite thing, trenching. So to get fresh water, I have to run a line all the way down to the well house and run it all the way up to here. Same thing for backup power and the Ethernet from the Starlink. Big old trench all the way up. And sewage. I need a big old trench all the way down to get that out of here. Right now, we have been manually dumping our sewage and gray water with this nice little trolley that I got on Amazon. It actually works pretty good because I do have a little dump station clean out hole over by the grumper where I can dump all the sewage. Holy moly, modern plumbing is a miracle. If you ever have to do this, you will realize how bad we had it before there was indoor plumbing. It's nasty. I'm very happy to say that the fresh water line is hooked up and good to go. It's at the proper frost depth. Hopefully we won't have some crazy week-long deep freeze and everything blows up. If we do, it's gonna be more problems than just this water line. Where it comes out of the ground, I've got this nice little heat wire thing. I've got pipe insulation, I've got tape, and then the next project is to skirt around the bottom of the RV to help retain the heat and not have the winter really blast everything in here. So the next big utility I need to work on is the septic, actually having it so when the toilet flushes, everything just goes away and I don't have to think about it. I'm gonna put a macerator pump up here that will chew everything up and turn it into more of a liquid, shoot it down the hill where it'll then catch in a catch basin and then shoot it over to the real septic tank. So once the sewage system is all set, I can do a more permanent setup for the backup power and the Ethernet cable that I'm gonna punch into here and set up a little Wi-Fi router and a switch and all that good stuff to make the internet run rock solid. And the final piece of the puzzle, which is actually kind of fun and opens up a whole new horizon, is selling the van. I don't need it anymore. I can use a normal car to get up to Everstoke and go back and forth. If I'm gonna do a road trip, that's fine. I'll stay at a hotel, it's no big deal. The van has done me well, but it's time to move on. I spend $500 a month on gas coming up here, going back home. That's a lot. I think I can roll that money into an electric car, and because we've got plenty of solar up here, I think I can charge my car and do pretty good. I've looked at a couple different lease deals. I like the idea of just doing a lease for 2 years, maybe the Ioniq 5. That car actually includes 2 years of Electrify America charging for free, which is pretty dang good. So I'm thinking hard about that. Sarah and I are so excited to be able to spend more time up here at Everstoke. The La Sierra, it has it all. The fresh air, the trails, the people, the restaurants. It's just an amazing, amazing place. Head on over to everstoke.bike, come up, figure it out. Just come up for a night. Just ride the trails for a day. You'll see what I'm talking about. So I've got a lot to do and I've got 80 more years to do it. So I'll keep you updated. Until then, do me a favor. Go ride something new, and maybe I'll see you on the trail.